Hello, Muhammad and Fadi, can you hear me? Yeah, hello, good evening. So, are you a new student, Fadi? Fadi, is this your first class with me? Okay, all right. So, we'll just wait for 1 or 2 more minutes so that other students can come. But I think we can start now. We have 3 students, so we can start with that. Alright, so those who are attending the class for the very first time, I would just like to tell you what topic are we discussing these days. So right now we are discussing about the cost of the factors of production. There are basically 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. So right now we are discussing about the cost of these factors of production. How is the cost of these factors determined? So we are today going to discuss about the wages of the labor, because labor is the most important factor of production. It is the most vulnerable factor of production. It is the one which can be varied as per the requirement of the unit. It can be increased or decreased at the nick of time, labor. So that is why we are discussing about the costs of the various factors, and especially the wages. What are wages, and what are the different theories which determine how the wages will be decided? Means, like, what are the practices that are followed to determine the wages of the workers. Okay, so let us just start. Just wait, I'll adjust the resolution of the screen. This is too small, it's not readable. Just a minute. Now is it visible to everybody? Can you all see? Muhammad, Fadi, Naeem, can you see what's written? Just a second. Okay, so the first thing is, what is a wage? What are wages? So the term wages may be used to describe one of the several concepts, including wage rates, straight time average hourly earnings, gross average hourly earnings, weekly take home pay and annual earnings. Okay, so these are the different names by which wages can be defined, because wages are paid differently at in different sectors. Like for a skilled labor means what? What do you think? Who is the skilled labor? Or can you just tell me the different categories of labors? Hello. Okay, yes, Naeem. It's skilled and unskilled. Actually, there are three categories: skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled. Okay, so the skilled labor is the one which is the one like which works in the office, which has a professional training, like a manager. He holds an MBA degree. Accountant. He is qualified for the same. Okay, so that is a skilled labor, one who is having some kind of training and a degree. So they are skilled. The semi-skilled are those which do not have a degree, but they have some, we can say to some extent they are having some kind of knowledge of a particular work, like the masons in the construction sites, the plumber, the electrician. They don't have any degree, formal degree, but still they are skilled in their work, isn't it? So they are semi-skilled workers. Then unskilled is the normal worker, the worker which works on a construction site, which has got no skill in them. Alright, so these type of since the workers are divided into different or rather the labor is divided into different categories, the payment method is also different. Like for a skilled labor, the payment is normally on a monthly basis. For a unskilled labor, the payment is on a daily basis. They normally get their money at the end of the day. And for unskilled, it can be at the end of the day or at the end of a week. It can be anything like that, depending on the terms and conditions. So that is the meaning of the of the word wages. Wages means the compensation which one gets for the service they provide. Okay. So now, what is the meaning of earnings? The concept earnings relates to the remuneration in cash and in kind paid to employees as a rule at regular intervals for time worked or work done together with remuneration for time not worked. Okay, so earnings basically means what are you earning? That is your earning. What wages are you getting? So wages in the widest sense means any economic compensation met by the employer under some contract to his employees for the services rendered by them. We know that. Good evening, Darshana. Welcome to class. Today we are discussing about wages, and we are just on the second or third like the slide. Okay. So, hello. No sound. Hello, Darshana. Can you hear everybody? Am I audible? Naeem and Darshana, Muhammad. Okay. So the gross earnings may be different from the wage rate, not only because of the number of days of weeks. 1 minute. On which the worker is able or willing to secure the employment. Like the gross earnings may differ from person to person and labor to labor. It can be, it depends basically on the number of days you have worked in a week or in a month or whatever your mode of payment is. So depending on that, your gross earnings will vary. And there are two terms which are used interchangeably, wages and salary. But do they have a difference? Are they different, wages and salary? Can you tell me? What is the difference between the two of them? Yes. No, actually the salary and wages is the same, but it is just the person who is getting it, on whose basis this discrimination is made. Like wages are paid to the unskilled laborers and semi-skilled laborers, and salary is paid to the skilled labor, like a manager, accountant, a software engineer. They are getting the salary, okay, and the unskilled labor, the mason, the plumber, the electrician, and the and likewise people, they are getting the wages. That is the difference. Now there are different types of wages depending upon their nature. The first is the statutory minimum wage, the base or base minimum wage, the minimum wage, fair wage, living wage, need-based minimum wage. Okay, so we can see all of them, and we'll start with the first one, that is the statutory minimum wage. So I hope you are understanding this statutory minimum wage. You must be getting it what it is from the name itself. Statutory means under the law. Okay, so statutory minimum wage is the wage which is compulsory under the law, and it has to be paid by an employer to its employee under the conditions of the law. If they fail to do so, legal action may be taken against them. Statutory wages. And how is it determined? How do we determine what should be the minimum wage for this particular class of worker or for this particular industry? How do we do that? Can you just tell me? Okay. Just 1 minute, I am plugging in my charger. Yes. So for the you are saying it depends on the country's labor law. Okay, that's correct. It depends on that, and the data for it is collected by the various international organizations. Like we have UNESCO, we have WHO. So UNESCO, WHO, UNICEF, these are the international agencies which collect the data on the they collect data for different countries, and based on that data, the minimum wages are determined. Now, how do we determine the minimum wage? Like what is done is, first the surveys are conducted, the data is collected, and this data is transformed into the means of calories. Like suppose it says that a person should have at least 2000 calories a day, a healthy adult. Now from where is that 2000 calories be availed? So like for getting 2000 calories, a person should earn at least 500 rupees a day. So that is how a 500 rupees, that is how a minimum wage rate is determined. Okay, and this is different for different countries, and it is very subjective. It keeps on changing. Okay, and it is like for one point of time it may be fine, but at the other point of time the same data may become invalid. So that's there. Okay, that is there. The next is need-based minimum wage. Now to calculate the minimum wage, the committee accepted the following 5 norms and recommended that they should guide all wage fixing authorities including minimum wage committees, wage boards and auditors. In calculating the minimum wage, the standard working class family should be taken to consist of 3 consumption units for one earner. Okay, means normally we assume that in every family there are at least 3 people. One is the earner and 2 other people. So minimum food, and in fact it is 3 plus 1, 4. So minimum food requirement should be calculated on the basis of net intake of 2700 calories. Yeah, like suppose to stay healthy, not to stay healthy, just to survive, just to support your body, you need, suppose you need 600 calories a day. Okay, so now the 600 should be multiplied by 4 because we assume that in every family there are at least 4 people minimum. So 6 into 4, it's 2400. So 2400 should be taken into account. Yes, that is also included. It's not only about fooding, it also about clothing and also about housing, lodging. Okay, lodging, fooding and clothing. These together will make up the minimum wage criteria for any industry. Okay. I think I have missed one in between. No, it's fine. So, clothing requirement should be estimated at a per capita consumption of 18 yards per annum, which would give for the average worker's family of 4 a total of 72 yards. Okay, in a year we expect a family to get 72 yards of clothing. So 72 yards. How will that cost? How much will that cost? That has to be included. So in respect of housing, the norm should be the minimum rent charged by the government in any area for houses provided under the subsidized industrial housing schemes from low income groups. So fuel, lighting and other miscellaneous items of expenditure should constitute 20% of the total minimum wages. Okay. So first, like minimum wages are worked out. Suppose it comes to 1000 rupees a day. Then based on that, 20% of 1000, that is 120. So 120 rupees a day should be added for fuel, lighting and other miscellaneous expenses. This is how all the calculation is done. Like and it varies from country to country. For a country like US, mobile phone, is it a necessity or a luxury? Necessity, yeah. And for a country like Kenya, Ghana, for them mobile is a luxury, okay, because they are very underdeveloped countries. So these parameters will vary from country to country. So when we are calculating for US, we are going to include mobile cost also as a necessity, but not for Kenya and Ghana. So it may be true for one country but not true for another country. Now next is fair wages. So fair wages are, it is as one equal to that received by workers performing work of equal skill, difficulty or unpleasantness. It is like something between the minimum wage and a living wage. It's fair wages, the wages based on your skills. If you are a computer engineer, then you don't expect anything less than, I'm giving you the minimum, 1000 rupees a day. Okay, 1000 rupees a day. And if you are and if you are not getting that, then you are not getting the fair wage. Okay, so that is important. You should get the fair wages. So the upper limit for this is set by the lower limit for fair wages set by the minimum wages, and the upper limit is set by the capacity of the industry to pay. Software industry, it's a growing industry. Retail industry, it is a very growing industry. So these are the industries then living wages. Justice Higgins defined living wages as one appropriate for the normal needs of the average employee, regarded as a human being living in a civilized community. So there are three possible ways of obtaining some indication as to what constitutes a living wage. Like we assume that the living being is a normal being and they are living in a civilized society. I'm not very sure about full name. I'm not sure about that. Okay. So it is like living in a, we assume that the person is living in a civilized community. Like previously when people were nomads, so in that cases they didn't needed anything like clothing. They used to wear those leaves and all, and there was no gas. The fire was like used, it was extinguished with the help of the stone and all. So that was uncivilized society. So now we assume that people are living in a civilized community and a society. So it should be sufficient to purchase the minimum theoretical needs of a typical family, calculated in accordance with some or more or less scientific formula. It should be comparable with a living wage already established in similar circumstances. Now it is a difficult task to fix a living wage in terms of money, as it differs from country to country and from time to time. So according to national economy and social policies, it is obvious that the concept of a living wage is not a static concept, it is expanding. Like theoretically, how much money do we need to support a family? That is going to form the minimum wage. And it is not a hypothetical calculation. The calculation is done on the basis of some scientific formulas. And it should be realistic. Sorry. Now comes a new thing, that is money and real wages. So money wages means the money that we get, the wages that we get in terms of money, hardcore cash. That is the money wages. And what is real wages? Real wages is something beyond money wages. It is something that anyone has any idea about real wages? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was asking about real wages. So you know what are real wages? Anyone? No? Okay. So real wages is like there are certain benefits that are given to you, but your salary may be low. Your money salary may be low, but you may be getting certain additional benefits. So that is what makes up the real wages. So we have to see the fringe benefits and advantages which we are getting from a particular job. That is the real wage. Like suppose you are living in a factory premises. I'm talking about a very like a very unskilled labor. Suppose there is an unskilled labor who is working in a factory, and he is just getting 200 rupees a day. So 200 rupees a day in today's time is too less. So he is, but what advantage he is getting is his kids are able to go to a school run by the trust of the factory in which he is working, and there is a dispensary. So there are like benefits like these. So that all will add up to the increase the real wage of that particular worker. Okay. Now for this we need to go to this whiteboard, because here the real wages have been explained in detail along with the factors which affect the real wages. Okay. So real wage refers to the purchasing power or buying capacity of the money wage. It is the amount of necessaries, comforts and luxuries which the worker can command in return for his remuneration. Thus real wage is expressed in terms of goods and services. It is the amount of goods and services or benefits that a worker enjoys against his job. Like sometimes what happens, we keep maids at home, full-time maids. So full-time maid is staying at home. So we are paying just, she is saying I want 7,000, but we say no, I will pay you only 5,000. But still she is continuing with us because we are giving 2-time meals to her, we are giving her place to live, we are giving her conveyance allowance and everything. So in that case we can say the real wages are more than the money wages. Okay. So what are the factors? The first factor is the purchasing power of money. So purchasing power of money determines the real wage. If the purchasing power of money is high, the purchasing power of money the real wages will be high, and the purchasing power of money is dependent on the price level. It depends upon the rate of inflation in the economy. If the inflation is too much, then the purchasing power of money will be less, because with the same amount of money we will be getting less number of goods and items. But if we are able to get more, then that means the purchasing power of money is good and high. Now what are the additional facilities? So besides money wages, a work gets certain other benefits in his job. If such benefits are more besides his money income, his real income is more. For example, a worker gets free housing, free education of his children, free medical service other than his monthly salary. So in such a case, his real wage is higher. Now extra income. So extra income of a worker is also taken into consideration in calculating the real wage of a laborer. If a worker earns extra income in addition to his wage, his real wage will be higher. So like school teacher is taking the private tuition, so he is earning more money, so that is his extra income. This makes his real wage really high. The condition of work. Condition of work is very important, especially when we talk about with reference to industries and all, because in industries there is too much of pollution. You are directly dealing with harmful chemicals. As a labor, the person is directly involved into dealing with harmful chemicals and all. So there are many high chances that he may just get some kind of ailment, some kind of disease infected by those chemicals, and this is very common. So if you are working in an industry where the working conditions are very good, where they are there is cleanliness, there is the vitality of health is maintained, so we can say the that labor is having a good real wage and he should not leave the job. The place of working is well ventilated, well lighted, so real wages certainly high. The nature of job. Like real wages also depends on the nature of the job. So real wage is lower if the job is temporary. If job is permanent, his real wage is more. Because when your job is temporary, you are always under the pressure. You always have a fear in mind. You may be thrown out. So that thing makes your real wage less. That insecurity factor. Okay. Now period and expenses of learning a trade. Now what does this mean? Can you just tell me? Period and expenses of learning a full trade. Okay, so what this means is like the time and the money that you are spending on your education, that is also an important factor. Like suppose a doctor spends a lot of money and lots of time also. It takes almost 8 years to be a doctor. So in this case we can say that the real wage for a doctor is less than a normal 12th class clerk. Okay, clerk has just passed the higher secondary and is doing the work. So the nature of work. So real wages are also determined by the risk and uncertainty involved in the work. Like if the work is risky, then the real wage will be lower. If, for example, a captain in submarine always expects danger and risk, so he receives higher wages, but in spite of his higher wages, his real wage is low. You know, because for these people, the risk is always there. For them, life is not a bed of roses. Their job is not like that. They have to face unforeseen circumstances. So pilots, those who are in the navy, those who are in the army, for them the real wages is always less. This is the only reason why these classes of people are highly paid. You know, in India, the official airlines of India is Air India, and the salary of Air Indian pilots is around 2.5 lakh rupees a month. Okay, that's a lot of money, but their real wage is very low because they can be subjected to any uncertainty. Are you getting it? Everyone? Yes, airlines give more salary. Yeah, they give more salary, but for if you talk about the fringe benefits, the lifelong benefits which you are going to get by being a part of the government enterprise is much more. What did you say? But actually, if the nature is not so good, then why they must be given better salary? It is because of the nature of work only. Like they are provided financial security, we can say. They can save and they can build up their future in a short span of time, because for them the life is really uncertain. They have to make a lot of sacrifices. Those who are working in the Navy, they have to be away from their family for 6 months. Okay. Then those who are working in army, they don't get holidays. Like these things are there. Then future prospects. Now real wages said to be higher. Yes, Fadi. Very much. The real wage is said to be higher in those jobs where there is possibility of promotion and other future prospects. But where jobs are traditional and static, there is hardly any chance of promoting to higher position. The real wage is said to be lower. Like sometimes people, they work in organizations and the salary which they get is very low. I mean, it's not up to their expectations, but the amount of exposure that is given to them by that particular firm or by that particular industry is too much. They get to learn more things. When if you are sent by your organization for regular seminars, workshops, then you should feel lucky, because these things gives you a lot of exposure. You get exposed to the new technologies that are evolving, the new things that are in trend. So this is a very good, it serves as a very good platform. So that is there. You need to be thinking on this, that the real wages are high because I am learning a lot. I am getting lots of benefits. Like companies, what they do initially, this has become a trend now. The companies like Wipro and TCS and what else? Infosys, these are the companies which are, they hire freshers, they hire like undergrad, they just hire graduates, okay? They hire graduates, they put them to job, they pay them very less. They just get something around the stipend only. But they have introduced this concept of studying while working. Means they enroll them for some kind of courses, and the students, they complete their masters and they get other additional degrees, and at the same time they are earning minimum wages and they are like moving ahead in their life. So this has become a trend. So in this case the real wage is high because you are getting additional education at the expense of the company. Then the last point is social prestige. Yes, if you are in a job in which the social prestige is high, then that means your real wage is high. Like in India, there is a lot of charm of the administrative jobs. Now, what is the what is the situation in UAE? Can you just tell me how are the administrative jobs taken? Yes. Depend on nationality. Okay. Especially all Gora people get more salary. Oh, is this so? In India, the administrative jobs are very high looked on. They are the jobs which are not paying much. They are not highly paying jobs, but they are jobs which give you a lot of social respect. Indian administrative services, Indian forest services, Indian revenue services, income tax services. If you get jobs in these, when you qualify the competition, so it becomes a big thing for you. You get the Lal Batti Wali Gadi, yeah, UPSC and all. So you get that car with the red light on it, and Yeah, that is a different issue, Darshana. Yeah, corruption is too much there, too much. But things will take time to streamline. And in US and all, and in other countries also, the administrative jobs are not very good jobs. They aren't looked upon as a very like a very bright job. The reverse is there. They don't like administrative jobs. People prefer private jobs. They don't like government jobs. But in India, people are crazy about government jobs. Now the trend has changed in India also in the last 10 years. But before that, people were crazy about government jobs. They would waste like a precious 30-35 years of their life to get settled, just to get a government job. They would prepare for competition, everything. They would do anything. But now the trend has changed a little. Okay, what is Darshana writing? Let me read. But what is used now? In India, everywhere is corruption. Yeah, that's there. Yeah, that is there. Corruption is at the roots of India. But you know, with this new government coming in, we are expecting that maybe the things will get better off in 10-20 years from now. Maybe we can say that. Someone was telling me that in US the system is so advanced and so good that people will, I think in UAE also, people like won't cross a red light even at 2 o'clock in the night when there is no one around. They are not going to do that because as far as I have heard, the fine is deducted from your bank account and you don't even know. You just get a message that the money has been deducted. Yeah, penalty. Okay. So this is the reason why the traffic is so sincere and why like people drive so carefully in such countries. Yeah. But in India, if like when you people might be coming to India for vacations or something, you must have seen people drive haphazardly everything. So this is there. This is the once these things are introduced into India, then only we can expect things like things to be good like that in US or even UAE. Okay. So this is there. Now we go back to our yes, Naeem. I'm in Gurgaon actually, adjacent to Delhi. It's a city surrounding Delhi. Like Delhi is in the center and it's surrounded by 4 cities. So it's one of those. Haryana. It's Haryana. Okay. Now the next is, with the exception of the first plan period, money wage increases have lagged behind price increases throughout the period of Indian planning. Like India is always governed by planning commission. There is a statutory body known as the planning commission. It was made after the year of independence, and this body, it frames plans for 5 years, and then that 5-year plans, they are implemented in those 5 years. Okay. But now this Modi government, they are planning to do away with this planning commission. In fact, they have done away with this. They are planning to do just like get rid of this and use other methods to plan instead of having a planning commission. So this data shows that the wage increase have always been less than what has been the rate of inflation. So when inflation is too much and wage increase is very low, then how will people adjust? How will they get their basic needs? This is the only reason why crime has increased so much in the recent years. Okay. Now there are certain theories which govern the this concept of wage. Okay, now let's see what are these. We'll not see them in too much detail. They are not they are not too difficult also, not too important also. So the first one is the subsistence theory. The name suggests it's to sustain, to maintain yourself. Okay. So the theory says in the long run, the wages would tend towards that sum which is necessary to maintain a worker and his family. So Adam Smith and David Ricardo, these are two economists. They argued that in the growth of population which brings down the wages to the level of minimum subsistence. So Karl Marx argued that subsistence wages emerge because of the phenomenon of unemployment and the reserve army of labor. Okay, so subsistence theory says that in the long run the wages should be such that they comes out to be the sum of what is needed to maintain a family. Okay. Yeah, one more important point just came to my mind that in India, the teachers of the junior grade, you understand, the primary grade, the basics, those who teach KG, upper prep, lower prep, those classes, then first, second, third, those teachers are believed to be very they are not given much importance. They are treated as just like that. And those who teach to senior classes, PGT and TGT, like middle section, 6th, 7th, 8th, then 9 to 12, those teachers are given a lot of preference and they are looked upon with great respect. But in US and Canada, the system is different. The teachers which teach to these tiny toddlers, they are given much respect and their salary is also more. Can you believe it? Their salary is much more than what is paid to the senior level teachers. Yeah, they are paid full grades. They are paid normally the grade for a PGT can be 30,000 a month, 30 to 35,000. So these teachers are going to get that, and those teaching the senior classes, they are going to get less. This is the difference in the culture of India and US. What about UAE? Same as India. Lower class, lower salary, higher class, higher salary. Okay. The next is the wage fund theory. So this theory stated that any given moment, wages are determined by the relative magnitude of workforce and the whole or a certain part of the capital of the country. So the wages are paid from a fixed wage fund. Means it depends on how much workforce we have and how much capital resources we have to make use. That is important. So based on that, the wages are determined. Then next is marginal productivity theory. So this marginal productivity concept, Darshana, it is the same as what we have done previously. Naeem and Fadi, you might not be knowing about it. Marginal productivity means, the word marginal means addition to the total. Okay, it can be marginal cost, it can be marginal production, it can be anything, but it means addition to the total because of one extra unit. Okay, like if we are consuming the 5th apple, by consuming 4 apples we were getting 20 units of satisfaction, and by consuming the 5th apple we are getting 23 units of satisfaction. So this 3 units extra, that is the marginal production. Okay, so this marginal productivity theory says that, just wait, hello, yes. Okay, so yeah, what 20 units are enough? Yeah, that is actually a different theory, different concept which we have discussed in our previous class, Kadi. Okay, about that, the marginal concept. So this theory just says that the the wages should be based on the marginal productivity of the labor, means how much, like we are employing 10 laborers and we are getting manufactured 100 units. Okay, now we are employing 11 laborers and we are getting 105 units. So this one extra labor is just adding 5 units to the production and we are paying him lots of money. So this is not feasible to add him to production. We should just not include him. So that is marginal concept. This is not important. Okay, bargaining theory is this was given by John Davidson. So he said that wages are determined by the relative bargaining power between workers or trade unions and employers and basic wages. Fringe benefits, job differentials and individual differences tend to be determined by the relative strength of the organization and the trade union. Like for this, as per this theory, the trade union is a very important thing. Trade union is the major role player in determining the wages. It depends upon the bargaining power of this trade union. If they are able to do well, then good bargains can be availed, and if they are not doing that, then the bargains may not be very favorable. Okay. Now bargaining has received considerable attention in view of the fact that wages are now being determined by the collective group of workers organized into trade unions and employers organized into employers. So collective bargaining may be seen as a process through which labor supply and demand are equated in the labor market. Alright, so this is important, and in the past few years, the importance of labor in industries, I'm talking about industry and factories, in factories and industries has gone down. Now can you tell me why this has happened? Why such a thing has happened? Why they are not so important as they used to be previously? Hello? Okay. Yes, who has taken their place? Very good name. Yes, that is the answer. Because of the technological innovations, the dependency on the labor has gone down, isn't it? Now we just need a person to run the machinery, to operate the machinery. We are not fully dependent on them. So because of these factors, the importance of labor has gone down considerably in the recent time. So bargaining can be of these types, like intra-organization, distributive, interrogative, or attitudinal. These are the different types of bargaining which can be used. Now employment theory. Now there are essentially two schools of thought which propounded the interrelationship between wages and employment. According to Pigou, unemployment would disappear if the workers were to accept a voluntary cut in wages. So John Maynard Keynes in his theory of employment advocated wage rigidity in place of wage flexibility. like Pegu, he proposed that if workers will accept voluntary cut in their wages, the unemployment will go away. Because what will happen is, like if we deduct 5%, 6% in the wages of the workers, then that 5 or 6% can just go to pay to the new workers. So this way more and more people will be absorbed and unemployment will be done away. But this is not practically possible. No one is going to accept it. Like in 2008 in India, there was the famous recession, not only in India, but it was like almost throughout the world. So what was the impact of that? People were thrown out of jobs, especially the software industry. That was the worst hit. People lost their jobs, those who were working abroad. So big companies, they were just shut down. So this is not a very acceptable method. Now exploitation theory is the basis of an exploitation theory as the original state of things in which the whole produce of labor belonged to the laborers, and when there were no landlords nor masters to share with them. This is again impractical, cannot happen. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this topic and the end of this class as well. So we'll just meet up in the next class. Thanks for your time, everybody, and thanks for attending the class. Take good care of yourself. Have a great week tomorrow, or have a great day tomorrow and a great week ahead. Thanks for your time, and you can just fill in the feedback form which you'll be getting at the end. Okay, bye, good night, take care. Thanks for your time. Darshana, please make sure you are on time in the next class. Okay, all right, bye, good night.